it. I'm sorry.
Authority. Scott Haggerty Heritage House, not just the Heritage House.
Yes, it's not just a heritage house anymore.
You can go ahead and get the meeting started, Jamie.
John a hug. Okay. Okay, we'll call our meeting to order at 4:02 and ask for a roll call of members present.
Yeah, Director Branning,
Here.
Director Brown,
Here,
Vice Chair Hernandez is on her way in right now. We'll go back to her. Director Josie here. Director Tenta.
Here.
Chair Howard,
Here.
and we have Director Hernandez. Vice Chair. Hi.
Present. Say present.
it's not it.
Okay,
You see, I walk in, he's not safe by the.
very good. Note that we're all present. The meeting is open to the public. Item 3 gives members of the public a chance to participate with 3 minutes of public comment on any item not on today's agenda, but within the purview of any members of the public wish to comment.
So we don't have any attendees via Zoom. I don't see anybody here in our audience, and I didn't get anything via email.
All right, item 4 is a consent calendar. Any questions, comments, items to pull? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Brown moves.
Josie seconds with the caveat that my name be changed to the proper spelling in the minutes from the last meeting.
Minutes of March 6th, correct the name, spelling of Director Josie. Very good. Moved and seconded. Do we have any public comment on the consent calendar? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Director Branning,
Aye.
Director Brown,
Here, aye.
Vice Chair Hernandez,
Present. Aye.
Director Josie,
Aye.
Director Kick. Director Kick is here, by the way. Yeah. Aye. Director Testa,
Aye.
Chair Howard,
Aye.
motion passes.
Thank you. Item 5 is the exercise, the third option year of the contract with MV Transportation. Staff report, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Christy Wagoner, your executive director, here today to recommend that the board of directors authorize our third one-year extension with our fixed route operations and maintenance contractor, MV Transportation. In 2018, we entered into a 3-year base contract with MV with 4 one-year options for extension. We have finished up we're nearing the end of year 5 of our contract with MV, and we remain the committed partner. They are working very hard to recruit drivers. We are looking forward to restoring all-day service on Route 10R here in about 2 weeks. So we are very enthusiastic about recommending we extend their contract for the third one-year option. All of the previous financial terms and conditions remain intact, including all of the previous modifications that you have authorized. With that, I will answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions from members of the board? Chair Brown?
Or board member, chair, is
Not
that
sure.
you?
Commissioner Brown. Commissioner Brown.
I don't want your job. You're doing a great job. Yes, just a question. How many one-year extensions do we have?
We have 4 one-year extensions, and after this third one, we will have 1 more 1 year. So we will be working on the RFP for the next operations and maintenance contract as soon as our next director of operations starts in 1 week.
Okay, that's my question exactly. So just to be clear for the record, we have 1 after this, assuming it's approved, we have 1 more year, and then you will go out for RFP.
Correct. We may go out early. That's something we want to have a discussion about. We want our new director of operations to come in and get his feet wet and learn the contract. But we will begin writing the scope of work, whether we put it out early or we let it go for the full time.
And I'm not saying that that means a negative reflection on MV at all. I just want to make sure that we have the best partner, and we'll make sure when we go out to bid. All right, thank you.
All right, Brown moves, Josie seconds. Any other questions? Any members of the public wish to weigh in? Roll call vote, please.
Director Bryant.
Aye.
Director Brown.
I agree with that move and I will say yes, I.
Vice Chair Hernandez.
Aye.
Director Josie.
Aye.
Director Kim. Aye. Director Testa.
Aye.
And Chair Hubbard.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Item 6, capital projects update.
I will take this item, but I am joined by Nate Barreras, who is our capital projects manager. He can answer any detailed questions that you may have. But in the interest of having 2 new board members join us, and also just because there's a lot going on capital projects wise, we thought it would be informative or prudent to bring an informational update to you on the 4 major capital projects that we have underway. So without further ado, the first is just giving you an update on our plans to convert to zero emissions buses. So in 2018, the California Air Resource Board adopted a mandate, the Innovative Clean Transit Rule, that required all transit agencies to be zero emissions by the year 2040. CARB adopted different timelines for the large operators versus the small operators. LAVTA, we are a small operator, so they gave us a little bit more time to figure out our plan to get to zero emissions. You, as a board, approved our plan to get to zero emissions 6 years in advance of the state's mandate. So you approved this plan, I think it was in 2022, which lays the groundwork for full conversion to hydrogen technology, beginning with our first bus replacement purchase in the year 2025 to 2026. So each bus that we own is, we operate it for its useful life, which is about 12 years. And after 12 years, we replace them, and we receive about 80% of the cost of the bus replacement cost comes from the federal government. So beginning in 2025, we will be not replacing our diesel or our hybrid diesel buses with that same technology. We will be purchasing hydrogen fuel cell technology. So we have 12 40-foot buses that we will be purchasing in 2025 or 2026 that will be hydrogen. That will be our first bus order. Following that, I'm going to look to Dave. If you can, I think 2028 is our next big purchase. So we have 68 buses total that we will be converting to hydrogen in a rolling stock manner, beginning in 2025 and concluding in 2034. Are there any questions about zero emissions, or should I keep going through the?
Yeah, keep going.
Okay.
Commissioner,
That's right. I just wanted to find out how you're doing on finding vendors, since this is brand new technology. I know we have a vendor in Livermore, which is fabulous, but also vendor searchers.
That's a great question. I had a wonderful meeting with the president of Gillig a few weeks ago to understand their readiness for this technology. They have not yet produced a fuel cell bus, but they have plans to produce fuel cell buses. And I'm hopeful that we
by
can
28.
by 26 or 27. So I'm hopeful that we can work with them. We have to figure out our procurement method, but it seems like their timeline will align with ours.
That's not 2025.
2025 is when we might get the money. We place our bus order in 2026. Is that right, Tamara?
We'll more than likely, we'll have access to the money come the end of fiscal year 25. We usually put our bus order in a little bit before when we know that money's coming. We don't like to do it beforehand. That's caused us issues in the past. We'll probably get them, actually have access to the money beginning of 26.
Yeah.
So the buses will hopefully be delivered around that.
Yeah, there are other bus manufacturers that do make this technology. New Flyer is a Buy America manufacturer, and they do make fuel cell buses already.
If we need to change our policies to allow for timing to coincide with local production, would you make us aware of that?
Yes, absolutely. I think we could stretch our fleet a little longer if we needed to.
All right.
Yeah, because they had a rest during COVID.
Oh, for sure.
Less miles per year. Okay.
Yeah. So kind of sticking with hydrogen, moving to Atlantis. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Question,
I'm so sorry.
Commissioner Testa.
Yes, I was reading an article on the hydrogen technology, and it brought up a lot of concerns and a lot of questions. I'm assuming that that's all been fully vetted by the board before I was on, but boy, I have questions now, having read that article. Is that something we can have a future agenda item about?
I don't see what, I would defer to the chair.
Yeah, absolutely. The more we can talk about hydrogen, the better.
Because if, for example, this identified, and it was a Sierra Club article, several, pretty lengthy, and it identified different layers or levels of hydrogen. There was a green layer that they recommended, sort of, but even that they were weak on, but didn't recommend the gray, the black, or the other levels. So do we even know what we would be doing? And
All green.
That's what we're doing for Valley Link too.
okay, so for sure it's all green.
We would have some trucking, we would have some GHGs associated with trucking in the hydrogen from wherever we were purchasing it. I think presumably in Tracy at the Valley Link production facility. But yeah, I think the direction would be as green as possible.
Okay, if there's not concern from anyone else, maybe I should just do my, questions offline. It doesn't have to be an agenda item if no one else has any thoughts on that. To me, it's new, so I definitely would have some questions now.
Well, maybe Julie, you and I can work together because I'm learning a lot about hydrogen myself and just registered for a ZEB conference here in Southern California. And I think Nate's also learning. So maybe we can have a meeting and flush through all your comments and questions.
But open to an agenda item if needed. Very good. All right. Anything else? You wanted to move on? Are we going to buy any electric buses?
No, not at this plant, not at this moment. Moving to Atlantis. In 2006, I think before any of you were on our board, LAVTA purchased land for our satellite or future home at the Atlantis Transit Facility located in the Oaks Business Park in Livermore, just down the street across from Gillig. The purchase was intended for a new O&M facility. Given the age of this facility and the footprint, we cannot grow our service beyond what we have today. The conceptual design for Atlantis was initiated in 2008. Some work was done. We have a bus wash out there. We have a fueling station with diesel, but due to the recession, most of the work was put on hold. Given the ICT and the regulations to go to zero emissions, staff resurrected the plans for Atlantis and engaged with the firm to complete 65% of the design, basically to update the plans so that Atlantis could be constructed to fuel and maintain a hydrogen fleet. Originally, when Atlantis was just conceived of, there was no hydrogen, no zero emissions mandate. So we are working to get the 65% design plans complete. I believe you received an update from Kimley Horn, I think at your November meeting. We have submitted an application to the city of Livermore, and we are currently waiting on staff comments from the city of Livermore on the design of the Atlantis campus is what I'm calling it. It's the Atlantis campus. It has two main buildings, the maintenance facility, and then the operations and admin building, and then a large parking lot, fueling station, washing, whatnot.
Is this going to be the Scott Haggerty Atlantis facility?
It might be the Dave Hubbard Atlantis facility.
Yeah, well, in that case, now you come
I
back.
know how Nixon's getting.
I like that.
So in our, so essentially for this year's grant call for projects, basically our low and no emissions and our 5339, as well as this past TIRSIP, we are asking for the full dollar amount to build out the maintenance facility. It's about a $40 million ask. It's a big chunk of money. We've received a part of the Atlantis campus funding for the hydrogen fueling station, which is actually the next project on your list. So in 2022, we joined forces with 2 CTA, 3 CTA, Valley Link, and we're successful at receiving at least $6 million to construct a hydrogen fueling station at Atlantis. And that is key to fuel our buses. There is no hydrogen fueling station, I think, in this area. First Element is a hydrogen distribution station, but I'm not sure if they fuel. Evan, they don't.
At least they weren't planning on it at the time, but they did have the ability to upgrade into that.
Okay.
At least if I remember correctly from when it came through planning.
First Station is referenced in our ICT plan as our fallback option should we not have a fueling station, on our facilities. So we are working on plans to design the hydrogen fueling station. It is in your capital budget for this year. We will be building that piece of infrastructure next year. Is that right, Nate? And additionally, let me take a sip of water here. Sorry. And excitingly, we submitted 2 fiscal 24 community project funding requests to both Congressman Swalwell and Congressman DeSaulnier to expand the hydrogen fueling station project by 2.5 million and include a second underground tank, which is actually necessary to support the full fleet. And I learned today that our earmark is being advanced by both district officers,
Good.
which I'm very, very excited about. That was the best news I could wake up to on a Monday morning. So we are not guaranteed money, but I am hopeful that we will be successful in a $2.5 million earmark for that project. And lastly, bringing you back home to this facility, it is important that we can maintain these buses. We have money for the fueling station. We're asking for money to build Atlanta's maintenance, but we do need to retrofit 1 to 2 bays here in order to maintain those buses when they do start to arrive. Hedging our bets that we may not get the 40 million for the Atlanta's maintenance facility.
So make sure you thank Dublin.
Yeah.
You got 2 congressmen.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Dublin, for your, I think that actually gives us more power when we have a collaboration. So we have funding to do our retrofit here. Nate's also working on a scope of work to issue this to one of our on-call firms to do the design and then begin that construction by the end of this year. And those are the 4 projects I wanted to update you on, and I can answer questions or Nate can jump in if you have any questions.
Any questions?
Yeah, just a quick question. So what is the plan ultimately once, assuming Atlantis is built out, once it is, what's the plan for this?
I'm not aware of any discussions that have.
If we sell this facility, we have to give all the money back to the FTA or 80% of it. But if we rent it out, we can use that money towards operations.
Oh,
Yeah.
Easy decision.
Any other questions from community members? Seeing none, any public comment?
We did not receive any.
Very good. Item 7, Executive Director's Report.
I'm talking a lot during this board meeting. Sorry about that. So let's kick it off with ridership. So ridership is going up little by little. We are at about 72% of pre-COVID ridership on weekdays. And weekends, we are at 88%. So that's great. What I thought was interesting is looking at our local routes versus our school tripper routes. School tripper routes are at 100% of ridership. And the local routes are just at above 50%. When you combine them all together, you get this blended, metric of 72%. But we do have some room to grow on our local routes. So with the restoration of the 10R to 15-minute service here in about 2 weeks, I think we'll see, I would be surprised if we didn't see a bump in our ridership. But we are still about 10% below pre-COVID levels of service, largely in part due to our ability to retain and attract officers. Moving into our April service change, I just noted that we are restoring the 10R to 15-minute service beginning on April 17th. That means both of our rapid routes will be at full service on weekdays, which is great. We are making some slight adjustments to 2 other routes that connect with the 10. This is Route 14 and Route 15. And all the shelter inserts and schedules will be updated. So you'll see those starting here in about 2 weeks. Last Monday, the MTC Fare Integration Task Force convened. I am a member of that task force. And during the meeting, the task force approved a regional interagency free and reduced transfer pilot. That's a lot of words. But basically what this means, and I think this is a good thing. I think this will reduce the burden for customers who are taking more than one transit agency on a one-way journey. And I'll also say we already do a lot of this stuff with BART and with our sister operators in the East Bay. So basically this policy introduces a concept where a passenger, if you pay to go from Wheels to BART, you pay your $2 on Wheels then you get a $2 credit on your BART fare. So you get a reduced fare on that particular leg of your trip. The reverse direction, you pay your BART fare, and the BART fare is always higher than the wheels fare. I think the minimum is $250 or $270. Basically, from BART to wheels is free. And the great thing is we will actually get some revenue back for this because there is $22 million that was identified in the some of the funding from the Transformation Action Plan that came out of all of the Blue Ribbon Task Force work. So bus to bus transfer, us to county connection to us. Passengers are just paying for one fare and then they get that free transfer. So I think it's a really great pilot. The team thinks they have funding for 18 to 24 months to be able to fund it. The biggest operators or the operators that have the most risk are those that carry the most passengers and the most fare revenue. Your BARTs, your Caltrains, your Munis. We get less than 10% of our fare box revenue through fares. So it's a little, minimal risk for us. And this will come to you for action this summer. So the board will be needing to take action on an MOU, and then we will have to complete any Title VI analysis. But I think it's a great pilot. It is scheduled to roll out with Clipper 2.0. So that will be summer of 24. So we have a time.
Question?
I have a question. So how does it work with different counties? Since we do county connection with Contra Costa, and then we're really based in Alameda County when you're talking about wheels and then getting onto BART and so on. First question. Second, if Clipper Card's going to get involved, there was that issue with Clipper Card holding on to people's funding and then them telling them that they don't have that funding there when they really do have that money there.
So for your first question, this is an opt-in pilot. So all 27 operators throughout the Bay Area can opt in. Whether people are actually using it to go from wheels to VTA, I mean, you can't even make that connection. So we don't think we'll see like crazy journeys across counties. It will likely just see the same sort of patterns that we see today. Maybe more county connection to wheels to BART. ACE isn't on Clipper, so unfortunately ACE isn't included in this pilot. But I think it's available for all the operators, and it's made possible because all the operators are on Clipper cards. Does that answer your first question?
What if you take the BART into San Francisco and try to use the Muni?
If you go wheels to BART to Muni, then you only get the first 2 trips. It only covers you for your next trip. So your Muni trip, you'd pay a full fare. But then if you transfer to Golden Gate Transit, it would be free.
It's just confusing.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is.
Yeah, it is confusing. Yeah.
Because San Francisco was part of MTC, aren't they?
Yeah. So,
They just have it up.
but it's not county by county, it's transit agency by transit agency. So there are, in Alameda County, we have Union City Transit, AC Transit, we have LAVTA, we have BART. So we've got 4 providers in Alameda County.
Yeah.
And then County Connection, Contra Costa, they have AC Transit and they've got 5 or 6.
Can I ask a question?
Commissioner Joseph.
Thank you. So I'm a little confused. Is it just the first transfer?
Yes,
It's not if you
it is not a 2-hour transfer window. It is just the first transfer.
from one to the next?
Yes,
Okay.
that is my understanding. That is how the pilot was structured. And this is a complicated,
Yeah.
it's very complicated. It's hard. All agencies have different fare structures. Some agencies are distance-based fares, some agencies are zone-based, some are just tap and go. The bus systems are the easiest ones. And we already do this with our 4 East Bay operators. We have a shared monthly pass. We have a shared day pass. We offer free transfers. We actually give our passengers $1 off your wheels fare if you come from BART.
And is the pilot, but also is it all managed basically by Clipper? It's automatic?
It will be through it.
Admit anything, it's
Correct.
and they'll track who owes what to whom?
Correct. Yes. And there's a very complicated methodology for understanding what are new trips that are generated by this, because the team is cognizant they have limited dollars and they don't want to just replace fare revenue loss for existing trips. They want to really generate new ridership. And so they've come up with a methodology. It's not perfect, but it does attempt to keep operators whole and mitigate that risk.
Michael, question.
First of all, hello from Portland. I'm at the LAVTA Legal Affairs Conference. Chrissy, won't this be coming back to us as an amendment to one of our
Yes.
Clipper things? So you'll get a fuller
Yeah.
explanation of this at the time. Maybe MTC or someone could come to a presentation, explain how the whole thing works.
And they've offered to do that. That's a great suggestion.
Commissioner Brown.
Just a couple questions. So is there a window of time that you have to take that second linked transfer? Is it an hour or half hour? I mean, can you go have lunch and then get your $2 off? Or-
That's a great question. I suspect it is limited with time, but I don't know the answer. I'll get back to you.
Okay, and then second, senior rates. So I think, since I now qualify as senior rates on BART, that for me to take a BART ride, it's $1.80.
Yeah.
So I can't, so if I pay $1.80, do I get $2 off wheels too?
Are you a senior on wheels?
I don't know.
Could
I get a $2?
No offense to anything.
I get a $2 credit though.
So you would get, if you're.
It's money, 20 cents.
Yeah, that's what I want to make sure
She's
that
like,
you're not
"I'm making
giving me.
profit."
I want to make sure you're not giving me money. That's.
No,
what-
we won't be giving you money. No, you would probably qualify for the senior.
If it's MTC money, I don't care though. Yeah.
It all comes down though.
I'll take 20 cents off
The
MTC.
senior gets a discount on BART and on wheels, so it would be $1 fare on wheels, and so your $1.80 would pay for your $1 fare.
Yeah, so that means I can take wheels for $1 and then 80 cents on BART. My goodness, you're paying me to
So
travel.
I'm never driving again.
Now I'm,
That's what we want.
now I'm not, now I'm $42.
You can't pay me to go on BART.
You take 40. Oh, well, don't. Yeah, that's on the record. Okay.
But it is.
I tell them that.
All right, so senior rates, and then my second question is Clipper Card 2.0. Is it invisible to riders? I mean, I use my same card
You can use your phone.
or my phone.
Yep.
So it's invisible. It's just a procedural change.
You can still use a card. So this is going from, you're going to test my knowledge here, from an account-based system. Does anyone here work with Clipper? No. Dave, do you know what the big change in Clipper 2 is?
Hardware.
It's just hardware. Okay.
Okay, it's invisible.
Yeah.
to the-
Well, that's what I'm saying.
That's
They're
what I wanna
keeping
make sure.
people's money though.
There is,
That's my second question. They're keeping people's money.
there is the Clipper board will be taking, or may have taken action on, reconciling those dollars there are Clipper cards that have had money on them for years. And
I want to switch it over to my card. It's very hard to do.
so that, I'm sorry.
It's very hard to take little Clipper cards. And the other thing, sorry, I jumped into yours. Is that okay? That like I have people come from out of town and they have to buy their own Clipper card. They'll never come back. So I had a friend who went to Australia and you just use your credit card. You don't have to get it.
Yeah, and we would be able to explore that technology on our system,
No.
but I would say for any guests, they can download the Clipper app and it's free. And it works on all systems. So
Is there, you need one per phone? Because if you're a parent, you got 3 little.
I do.
But if you are carrying that information back, I just think it's not friendly for visitors to use the clip. You got to buy a Clipper card if you ride BART and then,
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, thank you. That's the end of my questions.
Any more questions?
No.
Are you
Almost done.
done?
No, I'm not. I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead.
sir. I'm sorry, sir. Ace Bus Bridge support, just, you saw my updates via email, just to, bring it back here. We did, supply 5 buses to Ace, when they had a fatality on the tracks in the Altamont, and we transported 291 passengers. And lastly, in the projects and services bucket, we are recruiting for our TAC members. So we would encourage you to share with your colleagues, your networks, that we are recruiting members from all areas, from Dublin, from Livermore, from Pleasanton, from Alameda County, and from social services. So we will be bringing you the TAC membership.
What's social services? What's
Yeah.
that?
So we have representatives from social service agencies that serve on our TAC. Kadri, can you share a couple of the agencies?
Clio, for example.
Oh, okay.
So it's very independent living.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Are you going to do a press release on this?
Yes.
Okay.
We were gonna, I'm sorry,
Good.
we were gonna look into the terms and when they expire.
Okay.
Did we do that so that they don't all expire at the same time? It looked like we had like 3 that expired 1 year and 13 that expired in another year. Are we, some of these terms changing to 1 year or 2 year so that we can be aligned? Is that,
Yes.
Perfect.
Get the word out.
Okay, and just lastly, this is already, I've mentioned this, but we had a great trip to Washington DC. I was joined by County Connection staff, Tri-Delta staff, Kevin Wilk from City of Walnut Creek, and we met with the 20-year-olds who run the world, who are our congressional staffers, and met with Republican Swalwell or Congressman Swalwell.
Republican.
Strike that. Congressman DeSaulnier and Congressman Garamendi, staff members, and
And look at you, you got on the pass list from Swalwell and Derson.
Yeah,
I know, I think that felt real good.
Desanya is doing good things for Delta.
That's great. Yeah, that's great. No, it felt really good to meet those staffers and to be invited and encouraged to apply. The DeSaulnier request was very last minute because I had been prepping for Congressman Swalwell.
Well,
So
we were there earlier this year,
Yeah.
so that's why your trip was so successful.
I'm sure it was.
We were there in January.
Stuff, ladies, just.
We were in Sacramento last week, so if you want to head that way too.
And we are finalizing our request for the bus and bus facilities grant for $40 million to construct Atlantis. So this is the year to try to find money and get ready for hydrogen. So in your packet, you have your statistics detailing, for fixed route and your paratransit ridership. Your Go Tri-Valley is going up. There's more use there, which is great. We're increasing our budget accordingly.
We have one bar chart that's missing. It's on January for paratransit monthly.
Oh, I see that. Yep. Okay, we can get that. Yep.
Somehow data point got missed.
Yep.
And the reason I bring that up is February is a very high peak, so I didn't know if the data accidentally got.
Okay, we can send that back out. And that concludes my report.
Any questions? Public comment? Seeing none, matters initiated by board members. Anybody care to bring up a topic? Seeing none, any public comment on item 8?
None.
Seeing none, item 9 is the next meeting date scheduled for May 1st. With that, you're adjourned. Thank you all.
Here.
So how do I find out if this has any money left?